Hello everyone again and welcome to the DMSI YouTube channel. And some of you might be wondering what is going on in terms of, hey, division and multiplication. And this is really crucial when we're focusing on fractions. And so when we talk about division, what makes division unique is how we arrange specific integers or variables when dealing with fractions. And so let's recall a little bit from one specific type of example. So if you're given in here 2 times, in this case 3, and you're comparing that to this 3 times 2. This is quite interesting because if you punch that into your calculator, no particular answer other than 1 will show up for both expressions. And so turning this into equal means that we are able to find a result, which means whichever integer, no matter how you arrange it, you will always get the value, which is 6. And so for both, yes, this actually works for multiplication, no matter how you arrange 2, 3, or in other ways around, where 3 is first to 2 comes later. Before and after the multiplication sign, you should get the answer 6. Now, here's the big catch when it comes to division. How are we going to be able to see which order by which you arrange matters? And so the order of arrangement matters based on how you communicate. Communication is really important, the specific expression. And so, for example, you're given this particular form of fraction, and so one fraction in this case is 3 over 6, and the other case is putting 6 at the top and 3 at the bottom. So in this case, we know that from fraction that the top is known to be called what? The numerator. And for the bottom, which is at the other side, it is called the denominator. Now, there are other ways of expressing this because there is one interpretation that needs to be addressed, and that interpretation is this particular dash or line right here. And this line means mathematically that you are in division, and once you perform division between a number by another number, that actually is the other way of going when it comes to expressing it as fraction. So division in this case means that the numerator is divided by the denominator, and so therefore we can also re-express this as the numerator is also known as the dividend, while the denominator is known as the divisor. And so therefore, in this case, how are you interpreting this? You're interpreting this based on the following. The dividend is the total number of items that you have in a specific space or region, and you are grouping things in divisors. So a divisor is like, for example, let's say you have, in this case, 6 specific materials, and in here you're creating groups of 2. So the question now is, how many groups do you have in 6, where you make 3 members in one group? So in this case, we have 3 members, 3 members, and so dividend is the total number of materials in, and while the divisor is, in this case, groups of 3, and so in this case we have 2 groups of 3. And the big question is, which one of these agrees with this particular expression or illustration that we have here? And in this case here, based on what I said, as the dividend comes first, it is indeed the 6 over 3 that agrees thoroughly with this particular illustration compared to 3 over 6. And now the big question is, how will the answer vary? Are we going to get the same answer if it's 3 over 6 versus 6 over 3? In here, we concluded that 6 over 3 gives us 2 groups. And in this case here, our answer is 2, which connects really well with these two multiplication expressions. And remember when I say this, in here, this 2 is also equal to 6 divided by 3. Now, looking at this right here, the way it's written, the numerator comes first, which is 3, divided by, remember, this underline, this line at the bottom, or at bottom of 3, divided by 6. And so 3 divided by 6 is completely different from 6 divided by 3 because of how the numerator is arranged with respect to the denominator. That plays a huge role in the result of our answer. And so where this here is actually true for this particular illustration, this path here is not true. And so in conclusion, we can actually conclude that this here is not equal to this right here. And for multiplication, we do agree that no matter how you position the factors, you should get a result, or multiples, you should be able to get your final answer to be this. So the big question is, how are we going to explain a visual, use visuals to explain this particular assumption that we are all illustration? And so a way to do it is by starting off with a whole object. So let's say we have a big circle. And so starting with a big circle, a hole means just one circle. If you have 2 holes, it means that you have 2 big circles. And in this case, since we are dealing with one hole, which is a whole circle, we are going to be breaking it into creating 6 members in this one group is going to be our goal. So we'll have our center, we're going to go 120, and then we go half again, boom. And this is much better. So in here we have 1 over 6, 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 and 1 over 6. And so that is our first step, because we start with a whole and we are breaking it into 6 parts. That's what it means in this part here. Therefore, if we want 3 over 6, it means that we need 3 units of 1 over 6. And what does that mean? That means that for the following, we are going to do this particular shading, where we're going to shade only 3 of the 1 over 6. So we are going to shade 1, 2 over 6, and 3 over 6. And so therefore, this here is equal to 3 over 6. And this is how it is highly different, definitely, from the other particular expression that we showed you, where that involves our specific axis. The area that is covered by 3 over 6 is 1 over 2, where out of 6 members, you have to create 2 groups of 3. So it means that you have 3 members in a group. However, for this other part here, we are doing 3 over 6. And in this case, we're starting with a whole, break it into 6 parts, and then take out 3 of the 6 parts. So that is about it for division. These two illustrations, they show you that on one side of your numerator and denominator, the way it's positioned is actually, it does play a huge role in your specific problem solving compared to the other way around. So I hope you found this really informative. Let me hear your thought about this in the comment section down below. By that way, I can talk to you soon. There will be more illustrations coming soon. Watch out for that. All the same, stay smart as always and believe in yourselves.